My home is Saskatoon. My roots are from Black Lake Dene Saline Nation and Cormorant, Manitoba. A few weeks ago, just before the 25th, on the holiday season, I decided to take a vacation in Ontario. When I decided to do that, I didn't realize how integral that I could be to the Idle No More movement and what it meant to participate, to take action within the context of the movement. So I went to Ontario and I noticed that a lot of people were mobilizing across southern Ontario, and I really wanted to meet these people, find out what was going on in other communities, because I know that Idle No More is alive and well in Saskatchewan, and I was just curious. I heard about Chemical Valley, so I went down to Omdurman, Ontario, which is just outside of Sarnia, Ontario, by the American border. And in Omdurman, they have 50 petrol plants that go through in the 50-mile radius of Sarnia and Omdurman. So the trail or the railway where these chemicals are transported from America come right through the reserve, and those chemicals are harming the people on the reserve for many generations, and not many people are benefiting from the chemicals, obviously, or the money that is raised from the chemical plant. So there's the community, and they created the blockade. They were there for weeks, and it was really inspiring because they were very knowledgeable and they were protecting the environment, something that the Aboriginal people, First Nations people, were connected to since time. And so I went to that blockade. Then I went to the Eaton Centre in Toronto. There was hundreds of people that mobilized and held hands, and all of them were not only Indigenous people, but people from all across the world holding hands in solidarity with the movement, recognizing that we do have a nation-to-nation agreement, the treaties that were signed between the Crown and the Indigenous people of Canada that the Canadian government is currently not honoring, right? So that was really amazing. And then a few days later, there was the Dundas Square round dance, and I received my drum for the first time earlier that day, so I was able to sing the Strong Woman song with a bunch of strong women from Anishinaabe communities around Ontario, and that was really inspiring. We also went down to Niagara Falls and did a protest, a demonstration at Nelly Furtado's concert, because she did the Big Hoop song, and her next album is called Spirit Indestructible. So we took signs that said Idle No More. We are all treaty people. Our spirits are indestructible. We held them up, and we invited people from the community who raised their flags in front of the stage, and Nelly Furtado put her fist up and said, Idle No More. I see you out there. I cannot ignore you. And I don't think that anybody can ignore us anymore. I think that was a sign to wake up the sheep, the people who are still sleeping, and recognize, let them know that this is still a nation-to-nation agreement, the treaties, and it needs to be honored, and we all benefit from these treaties, and they are not being honored right now. Well, the Bill C-45 makes it so the Canadian government no longer protects 90% of waterways within Canada, but continues to control them. So that really makes me fearful about the future and our children's future, because our land is no longer protected. So if you are the Canadian government and you are there for the benefit of the Canadian people because you have been represented to make decisions on behalf of Canadian people, then why are you going against the people in which you represent? Like, that's a huge problem. And I don't think that people are going to remain confident about the Harper government, about the current Conservative government, because all of these omnibus bills have been passing before our eyes, and a lot of us haven't even realized what's going on. My hope for Idle No More is that Indigenous people continue to educate themselves about what treaties mean, about what the Indian Act means, about the Canadian Constitution, and how we can come together to get a step closer to Indigenous sovereignty, to build healthy relationships with newcomers. In our culture, everyone is welcome. There is still room for everyone. And it's just a matter of building healthy relationships that is knowledgeable, where everything is cared for, where we are not superior to the land or the animals around us. We are not superior to the water, where we protect the land and the water, and we are together, where we unify. As my brothers and sisters across this nation have been waking up, and they're able to articulate themselves in such a way where the language is accessible, where we can learn from each other and ask questions. And I believe that the young people are waking up because they recognize that this is our future and we are finally empowered. I see people from the hood, people who might not have been engaged in this political process because politics is for them. Politics has never really been for us because it's too political. But right now, it's a good time for us to come together on a grassroots level where we are not being judged for being wrong, but where we can learn from each other, and I think that's really helping the youth rise up and become a part of the movement. And I just want to say that this movement is part of a greater lifelong commitment that so many people have been taking over the past many generations. And I believe that this is a catalyst to the inevitable, and I believe that a lot of people are going to be mobilized, that continue to be mobilized, and will be a part of that lifelong commitment of reconciliation.